Good afternoon and welcome to Drag Racing, coming at you in Stuart Pond. Another big meeting at Ravenswood Raceway, the Supercharged Shootout.
Frank, this is a great opportunity for West Australia's best supercharged racers to strut their stuff. They are the entire focus of the event. And really, when you look at the field, we have a lot of racers who are currently under their national records. This is an excellent opportunity for them to get some practice in before a very important event, the Western Nationals.
The supercharged cars, of course, always provide great entertainment at Ravenswood Raceway. But Stewie, let's go now with round one of Supercom.
Ian Johns with a big burnout in a class that is specifically for naturally aspirated V8s and turbo or supercharged 6 cylinders. Ian Johns' competition driving a straight 6 turbocharged Torana is Errol Quatermain. Johnsy with the biggest engine in the field, a 504 cubic inch Oldsmobile in the Falcon. The little Torana will have a very, very tough job keeping up with this car off the start line.
Quatermain running in the Double D gas bracket. Backs the car up and is about to lock it away. This is round one of Supercom.
The racers have entered this afternoon, have qualified well, and now get their handicap set against the Australian Index. Johns with a slightly tougher handicap, but makes very easy work of it. At half track has a couple of car lengths and takes a very convincing win with an 8.03.
Kevin Merritt in the Chevy Camaro. Up alongside him is Graham Sims in the Toyota Supra.
Well, Merritt back at the track with a car that did campaign a couple of seasons in Super Gas, and it is full-on G-Gas trim now. A very, very big 4-barrel carby on top of a small block Chevy, and this car is going to be a hard hitter, and the Chevy fans absolutely love it. Simo taking a dollar bet each way, a Toyota with a very tough Chevy small block, one of the smaller engines in the field.
Both guys come out on a clean green. Sims has got some problems. Merritt with no problem is starting to run on and is going to get there first with a good time, a 9.46 at 226 Ks. Jeff Chasty and Phil Purser side by side. Chasty in the Commodore, Purser up alongside him in the little Torana.
Purser with a very tough job here. The car he's racing is a G-Gasser. His competitor is also racing in G-Gas, and Jeff Chasty would be the king of G-Gas racing in Australia, having set the first pass in the 8-second zone and holding both ends of the national record. A good lead for him. He doesn't want to go too fast against this record because it makes it harder the next time he comes out to compete. And a big shrewd run at the top end, a 9.57, doing all he had to win by the smallest possible margin.
Very close at the top end. Let's have a look at it as they cross the line. Chasty by a whisker, and a good pass by both drivers. Jeff Black side by side, a pair of the hard hitters at the track. Bennett, of course, running in the G-Gas bracket. And the little Camaro, very, very tough indeed, Stu.
Becoming the G-Gas Central for Australia. A lot of development being conducted in this 4-barrel class. It's a very, very tough class to get into, and you really do need to think hard about your racing. And it's good to see the guys who are putting the mental effort in are getting a result. Bennett with a good run here. Black's given the race away, and Bennett with a 9.41.
Steve Flynn in the very tough BP Commodore up alongside him in the Chevy Camaro. Brad Cruttenden.
Well, Flynn, he carries the #1 plate for Superstock. He's racing in a class called Supercom, which is our West Australian version of Superstock with a few other things thrown in. Now, it was originally planned that this class would have altered and dragsters racing, but it has certainly been dominated by the Superstock racers, by the sedan guys. And the reason is they are just so close and under their national records, they're squeezing the rest of the field out. Flinny on another spotless pass. He is the fastest manually shifted racer in the world and runs an 8.65.
From Supercom to Top Comp, John Zavier up alongside him, Ian Brown.
Well, Ian, you're making a few changes to the car, the gear ratios as well as other things, and that's to improve the car as a AA car next time around.
That's right, Stewie. We found the car was lacking in the first half of the track over the last couple of meetings, so we're trying a few different things to improve that. If we can pick up the performance there, the car should run on a good number.
Changing it from top alcohol with twin magnetos to double A funny car with single mag, will it cost you a lot of horsepower?
It does, mainly in the top end. You can make up for it in gear ratios down through the lower gears.
So we may see your speed drop down a little bit, but hopefully it won't hurt the EPs.
That's what we're aiming for, Stewie.
Well, Frank, you might notice that John Zappia running without wheelie bars. We found out exactly why.
Yes, coming back, she got a bit crooked backing up. Next thing, it come around on two wheels, and the back of the wheelie bars hit the wall and spun the car around, and I was facing back the way I come. Luckily, we only damaged the wheelie bars and put a little scratch in the car, but other than that, I can't believe it's still okay.
So John Zappia and Ian Brown about to go racing. Zapp with a brand new paint job will be very keen to draw first blood here. Brown up alongside him, the tree about to count down. Ready to go. And the green lights come on. Both cars get out nice and clean. Zappia up from near the wall. Here comes Brown around the outside. What a good pass by Brownie. A 681 at 344k.
Well, we're Dave Simpson, and you've had a dream season so far, Dave. The car's been working really, really well. A lot of people say that's because you chose a Ford to represent Falcon Specialists. You've been happy with it?
Yes, Jimmy, we're happy with it. We're hoping for a few better things tonight, but we'll see what happens. And, yeah, no, we are happy, yeah.
Simpson's competition, John Napier, and as always, Stewie Bond, a big, strong, long burnout.
Well, a top alcohol funny car making about 2,000 horsepower and hitting very, very hard. His competition is the big bad door slammer of Simpson. That car also making around 2,000 horsepower, both capable of running 680s, and it really will be a battle between them. Heads up right now in this qualifying round. The first round is a qualifier. They all run against each other, and on a heads-up basis, we see who has the quickest car on the day. Both cars in stage, and a green light for both. Huge tyre shake. Big tyre shake for Simpson. The car is very, very loose in the start line. Watching Napier through the top end, and Napier sideways. Absolutely 300 kilometres an hour and lock to lock for Napier. Action at both ends of the track, and it looks like the centre on the left rear rim has smashed. A tremendous amount of tyre shake from the Falcon, and a pass he won't
Coming
forget.
out after the break, more supercharged.
Grant O'Rourke, the world's fastest Torana, and another rock and roll and burnout.
Roy Scott up alongside him. Grant O'Rourke in the other lane. Stewie Bonds pit side and caught up with him.
It seems to me that this is almost a perfect hit out for the West Australians before the Western Nationals, a record-setting event. Are you going to treat it that way?
Yeah, we're definitely treated as sort of setting the car up. We're still trying to get a handle on it from being a brand new car, Stewie. I guess you take each meeting as it comes, and you know, we're definitely getting on top of it slowly but sure.
Grant O'Rourke on top of it slowly but surely. So is this guy, Roy Scott. And these two are about to go racing.
Well, I really think Grant's a little bit on the modest side. Slowly but surely doesn't mean diving a tenth of a second under your national record in your first season. They really are setting the world alight with this little Torana.
Debbie brings him into stage. Great camera angle there of the world's fastest Torana. Both vehicles locked away. The tree counts down and both out on clean greens. Roy Scott's got it down that side, but Grant O'Rourke fighting back. O'Rourke gets there first with a 744 at 316k.
Trevor Morrison on screen, and this is a double-seat altered battle. His competition is Gary Sheehan. Gary, today's a chance for the West Australian races to become a feature, and the supercharged guys are going to go out and do their very best. How do you feel about being the feature event?
Oh, I think it's excellent, actually. It's about time that the local guys were a feature event. It just, you know, makes people aware of who we are and what we are, basically.
Well, these blown cars are a big handful when you're out there just racing against yourself, trying to improve your own times. Will there be more pressure because you are the feature to make it into the final?
That's a hard question for me to answer. We've actually stepped the combination back, not back to square one, but we've gone back a little bit because we had a few problems. And when we're going to sneak up on it, we want to go out in a minute, make a run, and then bring the combination back. But we've gone back a little bit, rinsing it up and taking some blur out of it and things like that, just so we don't break things and start all over again.
Gary Sheehan's competition In the other lane, Trevor Morrison backing the car up and ready to go racing. And hasn't he had a great season, Stu?
He certainly has. The little small block had a few problems last season, but is now really swinging hard. A best performance of a 720, consistent 730s and 740s from the car, and it's a credit to him. It's a style of car that not many other people are brave enough to race. Morrison absolutely loves it.
Both out on a pair of clean greens. Morrison's out first and looking pretty good. Sheehan's trying to fight back, but Morrison picks up the win there with a 745 at 285 k's.
Well, two new competitors this season in this class. Pair of double B gases. One is a Chevy Love with a Chevy small block. The other a Ford Capri with a Chevy small block. Once again, proving the Chevy small block engine, it is the #1 choice for the supercharged racers.
Lindsay Murray in the Ford Capri, up alongside him, Paul Bosnack in the Chevy Love.
Both cars will be fighting very, very hard to improve on personal bests. The Capri at its first major meeting. And we expect Lindsay Murray to make some big strides with this car. Greg Perrin has been working on the car throughout the day. And now that they've got the horsepower, they really need to sort out the suspension. The crew have been applying themselves in that area between rounds. Well, Bosnjak looking back towards his crew. He seems very happy with the car. It launches hard and straight. And Murray doing the chasing. I think he's got him at half track, and it looks like the Capri is going to fire on and does so with an 8:59 at 2:43.
Phil Vinci in the Southside Engine Centre Commodore with a big burnout.
Phil's been to a few meetings with the car licensing into competition. This is his last licensing pass. And will he qualify into the field? A good lead for him. A nice, smooth pass from the start line. Big power at half track. And drives it out the back door with an 880. And that is good enough to license and good enough to compete.
G-Gas, a very, very tough class indeed, and Western Australia certainly leading the way. A couple of hard hitters about to come forward. Stewie Bomb went trackside to catch up with one of them, Jeff Chasty.
G-Gas is state-of-the-art. It's current national record holder, and I guess it's almost a class that was made for you. You love these little single 4-barrel small block Chevys.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into getting to go, Stewie, and it sort of really paid off. We actually were part with putting the royal proposal in to get the class in the first place, so we feel like it's our class in a way, so we don't mind giving it a hard time. We put a lot of time. A lot of people think it's easy, but we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into getting to go, and I'd like to thank all my sponsors and helpers like Michael Marriott, Floaty Cylinder Heads, and Kevin Strickland, Ultra Performance Engines, and really great.
Well, with Mark Bennett right now. Mark, you're another brand new racer, and you're in G-Gas, which is rapidly becoming the toughest class in drag racing. How do you feel you're going to go over the next couple of seasons?
Well, I hope we can go quicker. It's a really hard class. With you're only allowed to run certain things in the cars, and there's a lot of stipulations. It just makes things tight. So it's only technology, and everybody's slowly creeping up on it. We're running quicker this year than we were last year, and yeah, we've just got to sort the car in a bit more, and hopefully we can go better.
Speaking to some other racers, Jeff Chasty in particular, the consensus is that the class means you don't have to spend a great deal of money. You need good bits, but the more you think about it, the faster you're going to go. Do you find that?
Yeah, it's a lot of it's technology. Everything's got to be right. You can't cut any corners at all. Your suspension's got to be right, wing, all that sort of stuff. Everything's got to be right on the car. Yeah, you just can't take shortcuts and hope it'll work, because it doesn't happen.
Coming at you after the break, Peter Ferguson the right way up the track. Great to see him back here after a horror debut for season 98.
Well, Peter Ferguson, this will be the first full event for this car, all things being equal, after a fairly tragic start for you.
We're hoping so, Stewie, we're hoping so. We've got everything crossed, mate, believe you me.
Peter, the car looks very different, and the engine's in a different position in the chassis. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened to it the first time it came out, and what you've had to do to it to get it back to the track?
Yeah, the first time we came out was a lot of an experience on our part, trying too hard, trying to do it too quickly, and we got to about the second or third grandstand and she tipped over. It seemed to bite on the track and it just went onto its roof. Wasn't much I could do about it. And we've lowered the motor down now 6 inches, we've changed the rear end, Greg Burns has done a bit of work on that, and generally lightened the car up, so it's going to be a lot more competitive, hopefully.
I was told that the damage to the body seemed to be superficial, not terribly tragic, so the chassis was still okay?
chassis was fine, didn't need damage to the chassis at all. The body actually was it was shot. When we looked into it a bit further, it was cracked and it was a basket case, so we started all over again, spawned a factory, got stuck into it and built us a new one again.
Round 3 of Super Comp, Ian Johns on the track.
Johnsy with a 504 cubic inch Oldsmobile swings it hard. Big RPM in the burnout. And Stevie Flynn, not to be outdone, has his tiny little General Motors small block spinning hard as well. 331 cubic inches against 504. The cars are in different classes. They race on their national records. Looking inside Johns' car, the Lenko shifters, 4 big shifters, 1 for each gear, but no clutch between the shifts. When we talk about Flynn's car being the quickest manually shifted car in the world, it is using a clutch between every gear shift, and it is very, very quick at mid-track. Johns with the chase. The front wheels are up in the air. Can he catch Flynn? Flynn is flying. You'll know that Johns is there, and he has just run an 8.26. That is a new world record for a manually shifted car.
Mike Bennett gets the solo into the next round and be quite happy with that. A top racer will use this one to see how the car's going to perform, and it looks good off the line. Starts to run pretty strong at around about half-strip distance. It is going to roll through the top end with a good number, a 9.27 at 235 Ks. Top comp round 2, and John Zapier in the Southside Engine Centre funny car.
John Zapier, no wheelie bars, a 620. Your last pass out was a bit of a skating session. What have you got planned now?
Just hopefully we can get the car to go down straight. The last one we got held on the start line and overheated the motor. It made too much power, shook the tyres and shook the tail shaft off. When I put my foot back down, the motor went to 10,200 revs and bent some valves. So we pulled the heads off, fixed that, and it sounds okay. So we're going to try to run a 630, nice and straight, and get to the other end in one piece.
John Zapier's competition is Gary Sheehan.
You've made a few more changes to the car. You seem to be very happy with the afternoon.
Yeah, we're really happy about the whole thing. We haven't broken anything, and we're just going out there and starting to lean on a little bit. We're not going to set the world on fire, but we're coming down. The times are coming down, and that's what we want.
Well, pressure on Sheehan right now. A red light start. Zapier gets to do the chasing, and he's lucky there's a red light in the other lane. Sheehan will drive it out the back door. They're still learning about the car, and fights very, very hard to get a fast pass in. A 7.98, though, is a win for Zapier. Trevor Morris and a few of the guys have said that this afternoon the air wasn't really flash, but it's starting to come in now. Are you going to make much change to the car?
Yeah, made a little bit of a change to compensate for it, but went another 10th quicker that time, so we'll just keep creeping up on it.
Well, Morrison's turn to put some pressure on the driver in the other lane. Vincey leaves on a red light. His first competitive race in the dark, and the Commodore may get there first, but Morrison gets the win with an 8.16.
Lindsay Murray in the Chevy-powered Ford Capri, and looks like he's on a solo.
Lindsay Murray's worked pretty hard all afternoon, tuning the car, getting the suspension sorted out. We mentioned Greg Burns working on the back end of the car. The crew have been working on the front end, taking fuel out of the engine, making it a bit angrier. Let's see how quickly he gets down the track, and eases off to a 9.16. Grant O'Rourke, another big wobble at the top of the burnout. His competition is Ian Brown, as cool as ice, in the GM Performance Parts funny car.
Well, Brownie's crew just taking a look at the track, making sure that the track nice and clean for when the boy backs up. Grant O'Rourke, Australia's fastest, or the world's fastest Torana.
Well, Frank, these cars can make so much power. Right now, the crew chiefs are thinking to themselves, what do we do with it all? Do we take it out through the clutch? Do we drop the RPM on the start line? It is critical that they get the cars to hook up and leave the start line nice and straight, because if the car's out of control at half track, it usually doesn't get any better at the top end. O'Rourke's out first, a nice straight lead for him. A problem with Brownie, a blower belt on the track. O'Rourke pops the blower, has popped the blower off the motor and coasts through with a 9.92 for a win.
Coming at you after the break, all the finals action.
and invest.
Trevor Morrison and his small block Chevy, supercharged small block Chevy altered, a traditional altered, sitting directly over the differential in the tail shaft. A very brave man. 1,500 horsepower at the front of the car, and he can show us just how hard it is going to leave. No opponent in the other lane. It's all up to him. Leave on a nice clean green and see how quickly he can go.
Drives it out nice and fast, looking pretty good at the top end, but starts to come off the noise. Gets there with an 867 at 166k.
Well, I think that was saving the car and putting some money in the bank. Thank you, Trevor. The finalists are Roy Scott in his funny car in the Castrol lane, and the world's fastest Torana, another big rock and roll burnout from Grant O'Rourke.
Grant O'Rourke with the big one. Roy Scott a little mild on the burnout that time. He's backing the car up. Maybe he knows what he's got to do. Maybe they've stepped the car up a little bit. And Roy trying to save it for the real race. Didn't want to do it too much in the burnouts.
Well, the Double B funny cars have never been traditionally big burnout cars. An iron block, big block in the car. And while they might run aluminium heads and a very big supercharger, they really don't like to free rev terribly much. You get a long life out of one of those cars if you don't spin them over 10,000 RPM in the burnouts. And Roy Scott has really shown us that that car can do a lot of laps. Grant O'Rourke, on the other hand, loves to swing his small block hard.
Both vehicles set to go, locked away. This is the final of Top Comp, the A final. The green light on. Scott's got some problems up the line. Grant O'Rourke throws it out hard and fast. He's going to be on a good one. It's a top pass, a 741 at 307k. All the supercharged action at Ravenswood Raceway and all the top action at Castrol Motivation 98 Bondi. A big hour special coming up next week.
Well, it's going to be fantastic to really have the time to have a close look at motivation. What makes this one of the best car shows in Australia? The street machines, hot rods, motorcycles.